Welcome back to Breakbeat Code. We just finished our December 16th, 2023 hackathon. It was an awesome event. And this is a train the trainer session for anyone who wants to take our hackathon curriculum and do their own hackathon. And the curriculum is free for anyone to use. The platform we use, EarSketch, is also free for anyone to use. And we're going to break this down in a way that a new teacher with no coding experience could just pick up this content on their own. We're going to give you some tips on what works in the classroom, some things we've experimented with, but we also want to encourage you to really take this and completely make it your own. So let's get into it. I'm going to share my slides first. I'm just going to walk you through the agenda, and I'm going to show you a few things about how I present. And first, I'm going to this is in full screen mode. Let me just back out real quick and show you that I've actually hidden most of the slides in the deck. And the deck you can use really as a reference for if you're sort of new to this curriculum, and it's almost like a guidebook you can read all the way through. Most teachers will probably not use the whole deck. Hopefully, you're spending most of your time engaging the students in hands-on coding exercises. And I think the slides are really best suited for teaching concepts. But again, you don't actually need to use any of the slides if you don't want to. Just do whatever you think works in the classroom. And so here's the agenda. We're first going to introduce the platform that we use called EarSketch. We're going to do a quick tour. We're going to demo that. We're going to create an EarSketch account. We're going to show students how to choose sounds in EarSketch. Those are the sounds that they're going to use later on for their remix. And then we're going to show the students the fit media function, and we explain what functions are. And simply put, fit media allows a student to write a single line of code to place a sound on a particular track. We'll explain what tracks are, at a particular start and end measure. We'll explain that as well. And so as we go along, while we explain the coding concepts, we're also going to explain music concepts like beats and measures and tracks, etc., and music arrangement and different ideas there. We'll also show the students how to really start to build a more interesting music composition or remix with multiple tracks. And at the end, we're going to show them how to use set effect, which is really just a way to change sounds, like create sound effects. And we're going to show a simple example with just sort of adjusting the loudness, like turning the dial up and down for a particular track. And then we'll show more resources for Breakbeat Code. So the first thing we're going to do is a quick tour of EarSketch. Now, EarSketch is the reason why Breakbeat Code exists. Breakbeat Code is a curriculum to teach coding to students typically who don't have coding experience or music production experience, and they're going to apply their coding skills in less than 30 minutes to remix their first music track. We think this is an amazing platform, and the EarSketch team is awesome, and they are at Georgia Tech, the School of Music Technology. They've done amazing work combining their expertise in sound engineering and music with their expertise in coding and coding curriculum. And they combine those two things together in this unbelievable platform, which we'll demonstrate now. And it's, again, free. It's open for anyone to use. As of the time of this recording, there are at least 1 million users of EarSketch, and we just will love to find ways to introduce this to as many students around the world of all ages. And so go to earsketch.gatech.edu, and it'll look like this when they first get into EarSketch. They'll see a button over here that says Start Coding, and then they'll see this screen next with this little demo right here. It's like a little sort of walkthrough of the platform. And I'll just walk through that because I think it's a really easy way to break down the different components of EarSketch. And there are basically these different frames, as you can see, the heavy borders around them. And those are the different sections of EarSketch. This section right here is called the code editor. Simply put, this is where the students write the code, the instructions for EarSketch to place different sounds in different tracks to create the remix. The code that we're going to be teaching is Python. Python is one of the most popular programming languages in the world, and it's a key skill for many job opportunities in tech today. They hit the run button, and on top, this is where we see what's called a digital audio workstation. A digital audio workstation, or DAW, is a way for a music producer to place different sounds, playing at different times, and changing the sounds in different ways. So they're going to choose different sounds from a variety of different sounds. In a typical music producer, someone like Pharrell, for example, will typically drag and drop with some sort of tool, typically a professional tool. Examples include Ableton, Logic, GarageBand. Some of these you might be familiar with. But the difference here is that students are going to learn how to do the same thing except write code instead of pointing and clicking their mouse. And so you'll see they have these what look like waveforms, and they're arranged on different tracks. And then we'll show that when you click the play button, play the sound. And where do these sounds come from? Well, EarSketch, one thing that makes them awesome is they've done these different deals with these different artists. So you're not getting just generic sounds from a keyboard or a drum set. You're actually getting sounds from actual music on the radio from artists like Alicia Keys, Ciara, Common, Jay-Z, Khalid, Pharrell, all these different artists, Dakota Bear, Milk and Sis, Jay Lee Wolf, they've all donated their sounds. They've signed contracts with EarSketch to allow students to remix these sounds under a Creative Commons license. So in other words, the students can choose any of the sounds for these different artists that they've donated or that they've provided. They can choose any of these sounds from these different artists and they can then pull them all together and create these brilliant mashups across all different genres. And there's well over 4,000 sounds already on the platform. And there's this section just where the scripts are automatically saved. And on the right-hand panel, that is the curriculum. That's the built-in curriculum, which basically we often tell students to try it first. And if that doesn't work, and like get some sort of error, Google it. When we mean Google it, we actually typically mean just search in the curriculum bar right here. That's where we're going to find all the EarSketch specific curriculum. Or ask a friend. So ask someone, one of the students around them. So that's a quick tour of EarSketch. Let's go ahead and create a new account. So we show in the top right-hand corner of the screen, I'm just going to zoom in here. The top right-hand corner of the screen, we see Create Reset Account. Click on that, and then you can register a new account. I suggest walking through this slowly to make sure that everyone's on the same page. You can click on Register a New Account. This is where we want them to pause and think about their username, because what we want them to do is pick a stage name. So this hackathon was a celebration of the 50th anniversary of hip hop. Many of the artists you see here have stage names that are not the same as their real name. The examples we often use are Beyonce is a good example. Beyonce has such an amazing name that she went with Beyonce, which totally makes sense as her stage name. My name's Richard, so in order to stand out in the crowd, I couldn't have a stage name which was just Richard. I would have to come up with something. My stage name is BreakBeatCode. So you can just create your own stage name, something that might be meaningful to you. You can also just use a nickname. Good example is Chance the Rapper. His real name is Chancellor. And you could pick a really random name. And that's one of my favorite examples of a random name is Childish Gambino, whose real name is Donald Glover. And he put his real name into a website that just generates random rapper names. And that came out and he stuck with it. So that's where we give students the opportunity to get creative with their name, to give them some time to do that. We find that when you give students this opportunity to create this artist identity, they really identify as artists. And they start to create really interesting music tracks. So it really sort of it encourages them to be much more creative. Because ultimately, what we're trying to do is inspire all these students to become artist engineers, combining both sides of the brain to create something really, really special. So once they have their stage name, we say, put it in here, make sure it starts with the letter. It can include a number like F48, but it can't start with a number. And there can be no spaces and no special characters. Then password. And the email address is optional. We strongly encourage it so that if students lose their password, forget their password, they can recover it. But we appreciate that some schools may have restrictions on students creating accounts with their email address, with any personally identifiable information. And so we really leave that up to the students and the teachers and the parents. Once they've created an account, then they're going to learn how to choose sounds in EarSketch. And this is where I switch back into EarSketch. I ask students to navigate to the sounds section, and then we break down what's happening in the sound section. So first, look at the filters. You have filters for artist, genres, instruments, and while we don't teach the concepts of keys during the hackathon, just because it's more of an advanced music theory concept, but they can actually filter by keys as well, which can get interesting for someone who might have a background. And so the artists include, as you can see, all these artists here. The genres include all these genres. In genres, we explain to students, are simply categories of music like country and dubstep and EDM and house, Latin, hip hop, orchestral. There's all sorts of different genres or categories of music and the different instruments. And I can combine these. I could say, I want drums from Alicia Keys, and I'll just see the drums. Or I can clear the filters and just choose an artist. Say this artist right here. And then I encourage the students to just start, they put on headphones, and we strongly recommend headphones, especially if you have a big crowded class, because it'll get loud. And so with headphones, start to experiment with these sounds. We normally give them about 5 minutes to start to hit these little play buttons. And just see which sounds they might want to put in their remix later. And if they like anything, I'm going to put a star next to it. And later on, I can say show only favorites, and I'll see the sounds that have a star that I've selected as a favorite. So then we pause, we give the students the time to do that.